Right, so if you refresh your screen, you'll see the week 6 notes, and at the end of week 6 notes on page 34, you'll see the questions. A couple more things I just wanted to cover before we start this. Got reminded. So, what you'll get back from me shortly, probably in the weekend sometime, maybe early next week. Keep an eye out for it. I normally have 3 weeks to mark. That's my normal standard. Every lecturer should be aiming at trying to do that within 3 weeks. And you should give a small amount of feedback as well. So what I do is you will get it's divided into 3 categories. So the categories will be the title block and the legend and the notes and that side of things. That's it's a smaller weighting. The next one will be the topographical information on your plan. That's a larger weighting. And then the biggest one of them all is the top and the bottom of the long section. So, as far as feedback goes, I will be concentrating on the CAD issues that I'm not happy with. And they also contribute towards your mark. They don't just mean a negative mark. Always there's got to be some consequences for poor CAD, or else we can't compare a good drawing with a bad one. But they also have a relevance to your mark for that section as well. The way how I mark is each section has obviously got a weighting. That weighting is multiplied by my mark for each section. And that's a percentage. So, and if it's excellence, it'll get 100%. If it's good, it'll get 75%. If it's adequate, it'll get 50%. And after that, it could be not yet complete or did not complete or something like that. Okay? And that'll be a smaller percentage, obviously. That's multiplied by the weighting. So you could still get a really good mark if you didn't put a title block on the drawing, because that was a smaller weighting compared with other things, right? I'm like Ingrid. I mark down things quite badly if you have got the wrong scale, and that includes the second viewport. So be very careful of those things. What I'd like you to do is when you get your feedback, is to make sure you use it like a checklist when you go through assignment 2. So if I've said poor leaders, that means you're not starting them in the right place, or you're inconsistent with the start line. The leader should start exactly halfway up the text, depending on whether it's the left-hand side going up, that's the top text, or the bottom text if it's going down. Right-hand side, the halfway up, the last word on the line, the last letter of the word, and going up, and if you're coming down, halfway up the last word at the very end on the right. The best way to do it is you decide on a length for your leader and you copy that all around the place, so you never end up having to change that start length. Okay? And you just stretch the arrow to wherever it's supposed to go to. An example there, just in that on that bottom long section of 2 leaders that are the same size, starting from the same place halfway up the text, and the same again with that word existing ground. The other thing is, if you've mucked up your text heights, you're probably going to muck them up again on assignment 2, so make sure that they're right the second time round. If you're not sure, ask. Ask what the mathematics is. Same with the arrow sizes. You don't have to fix up assignment 1, that's done and dusted, whatever your mark is, your mark is. But however, if you are getting close to the end of your diploma and you want to use those drawings to try and, well, I call it put the foot in the door to stop it from slamming on you at a job interview, yes, I would go back and do those things too. No use presenting a drawing that I've already found mistakes in, because boy, industry will find it really quickly. It'd be like, you know, it's like going for a job interview to say that you know how to repair motor cars, and you turn up and your own motor car blows up as you pull up on the driveway. So yeah. I think I've covered everything. You'll see in the comment section that I've done a example answer for both the long section and the cross section, and you'll see a lot of you have left out some fairly important levels and notes as well. So before you start emailing me saying I don't understand, why did I not get a good mark, have a look at the example answer in your own one, and you might see some interesting comparisons. But so far the main thing has been line types, trees not changed to different sizes, shapes. Just all the students done a different colour, thinking that'll do. The line type scales, LT scale, hasn't been set very well, so they get very, very long dashes. The survey traverse needs to be a small pick line, and it needs to show. It can't be in model space, it needs in layout space to look like that. And also some people adjusted their contours to the right size or height nicely, well done, but you didn't bring the line in to meet it like Ingrid taught you, so that it looks nice and neat and tidy. Now I know some of you did as well, so I'm not aiming this, I'm just generally telling you a few things. So yeah, that you probably should tidy up for a proposed plan. You don't have to do it on the existing plan. Some people put their viewport on a layer called viewport, well done, and they also put their title block on a layer called title block. But then they forgot about that little thing in the bottom corner called a logo, and they just put it on layer 0. Yes, I do look at everything. So if that's you, go into assignment 2, change logo to a layer called logo. Right? So these little things, you'll be amazed that after 22 years of making drawings, how quickly I pick these things up. You know, it's not that difficult really. North Point, half of you are changing it to a nice size, others it looks like a big blue moon sitting there on the drawing. That it's nice that it's on there, because some left it off completely, but it needs to be a small, more manageable size. And also it needs to be on the locality plan, because some people reorientate your locality plan, so you do need one on that as well, a smaller one, not a big blue moon. Alright, so looking at that example up there, and it's just jogged my memory as to figure 101. So figure 101 has got some batter slopes on it with the triangle, and by the way, a lot of you did that on your long section, well done. You put the triangles on there, and it had 2 to 1 and 1 to 1. But you decided for some strange ungodly reason to make that text a lot smaller, mostly probably because it fitted, but that it needed to be 0.35, that text, okay? Another thing you might consider changing. Now the question I've got for assignment 2 is, how many people figured out the first offset, and how many people just said, hey bro? Well, in this particular case, the mathematics behind working out that is the mathematics behind the Hay Row, alright? The trouble is, you're going to get 3 of those in the test. So it's important that you do know how to work that out. And I'll teach you in a couple of minutes a very simple method to do that. Notice it's not 2 to 1. The next one down is a long section of a pipe, just the bottom of the invert of the pipe and the existing ground. Absolutely no different to what you did in your assignment. Same sort of deal, except for look what I've gone and done. I've substituted some of the values down the bottom for letters. In this particular case, I've asked you to work out letter A and letter D. And that's exactly the format that you're going to see things in the test. It'll either be a fill or a cut up the top, or it'll be different letters missing on a long section. So going down to the next one, that's what I attempted to draw on the board, is a Z value at the bottom, and we don't have a Y value, but we can work it out given up the top that the distance A is 7, and you've already got a distance from X to Z to Y of 20.3. Once again, I'll go over how to do that. Now, there will be probably, at an estimate, 3 of each of these, 2 or 3 of each of these, including the last one. So the prismoidal calculation sheet, you'll remember I went over that in class by putting on colours. I'll do that again today. You will need to know that inside out. So I'd suggest that you possibly take a little bit more note, because you now know it's going to be in the test. Now, it will vary. Some people might get 3 prismoidals, 2 contours, 2 long sections, and say 3 of these, and others might get 2 of these and 3 of the others. So it will vary, but I can tell you there'll be 10 altogether, okay? And then there'll be the multi-choice. Now, interestingly enough, there's 3 multi-choice for you that are actually in the test. And I'll give you the answer, how about that? And then you've got to hope out of 120 questions that 2 of those turn up in your 10, or 3 of them turn up in your 10. You never know. Okay, so what we'll start at the top. Give that one a crack, the first one. At least give it a go. I'll tell you something that I want you to also take note of. Give the answer to 1 decimal place. Are you all familiar with decimal places? I know, depending on the background of what country you've come from with your maths, some of you are. If you've done maths in New Zealand, you'll be doing it my way, but others might be a wee bit confused. So with the decimal places, if the answer's 23.444, when I say I want 1 decimal place, you go 1 decimal place and you interrogate that number. Alright? That number's, the number before it is a 4, so that stays at 4, so the answer's 23.4. But however, if that was 23.457, looking at the 4, the number before it is a 5, which means it goes up, so it will be 23.5. Alright? It's all to do with 4 or 5. I think most of you are aware of that. If the number comes to 23, and you ask for 1 decimal place, put into Moodle 23.0. The next, if you go back in to check your answer, it'll still be 23 in Moodle, but it will match my answer if that was the answer, okay? That's the bit you've got to be a little bit careful about. Alright. So you can do what you like for the next couple of minutes. You can have a go at that. You can have a think about it. You can do an email, or you can do your homework or something else. And in 2 minutes' time, I'm going to go over a simple way to do that equation.
여행점